Can you just say and spell your name?
Okay, it's Michael Witherspoon, Michael Witherspoon.
And your title?
Is Captain, Joint Expeditionary Base, Little Creek and Fort Story.
So Captain Michael Witherspoon.
Captain Michael Witherspoon.
Okay. Well, so yeah, tell us about what happened.
So about 5:45 p.m. last night, a tornado came across the installation here on the Fort Story side of the Joint Base, and it traveled from the backside of the installation in our training areas all the way across the base until the water's edge here, where you see the damage behind us, and it actually went out across the water. I was in my window for a little while, and I saw it coming down the street actually, because we lost power, and uh, and so the power came back. When the power came back, I went up to restart computers and that kind of thing, and then the power went out again. And about that time, I had raised that blind, which is still raised, and looked down the street, and I could see it coming. So I ran downstairs to the bathroom, and my wife and I, we took shelter. Whole house vibrated for about what seemed like a minute and a half. It seemed like an eternity, but it was probably about a minute or so.
What did it look like? What did it sound like?
So it was a roaring, just a roaring sound. I could feel the house moving. Our house routinely moves when we have high winds here, but this was different. And so it was vibrating. It looked like just a whiteout of water. And when I looked down and saw it coming, I looked over at the Cape Henry house right behind me, and then I could no longer see it. So I ran downstairs, and about that time, it felt like the walls were breathing. They were moving, and we took shelter in the bathroom.
What was this behind us?
So what you see behind us here, there used to be a garage right here for this particular house, and then the brick building you see right there was a pump room, essentially, and a utility room for the Cape Henry house. Well, as you can see, it totally destroyed it. Some of the house here you see on top of the hill was an old cottage here for MWR. So some of that is over in the ocean. A lot of this building that used to be there, it was floating across the ocean when the storm blew over. So as soon as it came through, I tried to video it, but it was lightning, and was accompanying the tornado, and so I got yelled at by my wife to get back in the house, and so I secured the video. I did get a little bit of video footage though, so pretty impressive. It was a fierce storm and it was quick.
When you saw it coming, y'all's way, I mean, what was going through your head?
Take shelter. My wife was already downstairs and in the bathroom. Unfortunately, she's been through a tornado before because we're from Alabama, so we've been down in Tornado Alley and we're pretty experienced with it. But as I came down the stairs, she was already in the bathroom, and it came through so fast I didn't have time to close the door. And I could see the furniture flying, the circulation out here behind my house, and and I could see it going across the water. So.
Was there any other damage
On
the base?
Oh, quite a bit of damage. There's quite a bit of structural damage here on board the installation. Some of our barracks have taken quite a bit of damage on the roofs. A lot of downed trees. I would say hundreds of trees. Some roads are blocked. We lost power for about 18 hours. So it went out yesterday evening right when it came through around 1800 or so, 6 p.m. And we didn't get it back till about noon this morning.
Did anything, I know at the time, but now, is any damage that y'all had hindering operations or anything like that?
So we had a really good effort by Dominion Power, a really good effort by our naval facilities team, and so they responded right away, worked around the clock, and we actually got power restored. I mean, because we had a total blackout here on the base. So if you can imagine, that was quite a bit of work to get power lines rehung and transformers replaced, and we had to run new wiring for a lot of the electrical grid, and that happened pretty rapidly. A lot of the base cleanup took place by our emergency management teams, by our Navy facilities, engineers and teams, and everybody responded pretty quickly. So the fact that we are back on 100% power right now, and we've got all of the trees out of the roadways, we could not move around last night because of down power lines. Some were still live, and so I actually activated mission essential personnel only on board the base today. We secured our child development centers and our child youth programs, and just to keep everybody safe.
I know you guys are usually preparing for, everything here. I mean, is this something you guys, like, how do you prepare for this and kind of have a plan, ready to
So
go?
ironically, we just had a tabletop exercise for a tornado drill at Fort Story, of all places, and so that just occurred about a week ago today. I want to say it was, and it just came from the other end of the base and not where it actually came from. But we had rehearsed, you know, rehearsed this one in a tabletop exercise just a week ago.
Well,
Yeah.
and looking at, not just the damage here, but the damage, in Virginia Beach and,
Right.
everywhere that kind of got hit. And no one was hurt here,
Right. No one was hurt here. There were no injuries. We did have some sailors and soldiers displaced, about 56 of them, and so one of my barracks, which is just down the road here, you can see the top of it. There was some roof damage there. It rained inside of the barracks, and there were some trees on top of one section of the building. But we had to move out about 56 of our sailors and soldiers to another safe location. And we had the berthing. We're lucky that we had the berthing to shelter.
And when you see what you saw, from your window and the damage it kind of left behind, I mean, the fact that no one was hurt, I mean, how does that kind of strike your heart?
Prayer works, right? And so while we were there and the walls were pulsating, I could physically hear my wife praying, and we just we wrote it out. So.
Does anybody live here, or is this just vacant now?
So it's vacant right now, and one thing about that particular, the Cape Henry house, is it was on our list for demolition, and so thank goodness. I mean, I was supposed to actually be living in that house, and but I moved in this one so that we can demo this one because it's a pretty old home and costly to renovate.
And this one too is just vacant?
Yeah, that one's vacant, and that one is on the demo list now. It was not on the demo list, but now it is because there's so much damage to it. We're just gonna take it down.
From yesterday?
From yesterday. Some here, and then just on the other side of the dune right here, there's 4 other cottages like this one, and we're gonna demo those as well.
Were those damaged yesterday too?
Oh yeah, they were damaged yesterday as well. So, and if you were to beeline straight to where you see the damage here, through the woods right back here, there's almost a straight line and a turn. You can see where the storm turned. Came over the fence line, it came back to one of our landing zone areas, and then and there's a bunch of trees down through there, and structural damage mainly is over in our living quarters for our soldiers, sailors.
Do you have any idea how much it will cost to repair?
Well, this morning we were at about a $2.5 million price tag, and I just did another surveillance of the installation, and we're up to about $3 million right now. And that list could grow as we continue to clear debris and uncover damage.
How would you say was the response and preparedness for this whole situation? Do you think having the training that you had a week ago today was actually very effective in this whole situation?
I would say the training that we did a week ago was very effective. We train all the time, but the fact that it was so fresh in our minds and our checklists we had crossed the T's and dotted the I's, we were ready for this, and just the restoration, the point that we're at right now, I'm just amazed that we're at the point that we are.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I would say that we are lucky no one was hurt. The damage we can recover from, the debris cleanup and the removal of trees and just restoring the installation. We probably have weeks, a couple of weeks ahead of us for that. But our teams are going to bring all arms to bear, and we will utilize some of our Army brothers, and we'll take our Navy sailors and the team collectively. We'll get the base cleaned up. So no doubt in my mind, 2 weeks from today, we'll probably be back to normal.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
We appreciate it.
All right, no worries.
I definitely get that be
Yeah.